Welcome to the lunation situation. We're talking about the new moon in Libra occurring 21st of October. And it's important to know that right away at the same day, Mercury goes into pre-shadow. And this is important because Mercury is about our daily activities, our contracts, our agreements, things that we write down, things that we put in black and white. So be mindful, because when Mercury goes into pre-shadow, it's not going to go retrograde right away, but it's slowing down, it's losing its power, and it means that we are losing our focus on details. Unfortunately, this has an effect on electronics, communication devices, and so things may go haywire. You want to make sure that you push the save button more, that you save important documents, and just expect some communication issues and mobility issues, and just not noticing important details or miscommunications. Unfortunately, Mercury goes retrograde November 9th and basically is retrograde all throughout November until 29th of November. So this, I think, includes Black Friday, and it means this is, again, just like last year, not a good time to invest in electronics or communication devices, because things, you might experience issues with the stuff that you buy. So just, that's a warning right away. Other than that, this new moon in Libra is promising. There's a lot of geometry going on. There's a yod, the finger of God, pointing at this lunation. There's also a very important water trine, and there's a T-square also from this lunation. So let's dive in. The new moon in Libra occurs at 28 degrees and 22 minutes of Libra. I think it is important to know that this new moon is on the oppositional side of when we had a solar eclipse in Aries at 29 degrees. That was April 20th of 2023. So approximately 2 years ago, we had a new moon solar eclipse at the oppositional side. So I feel that this is a reflectional mode of what happened for you in April 2023. Now, after 2 years, we're at evolutionarily, looking from an evolutionary point, we're at the opposition. So coming last 2 years, what have you learned? What would, if you had a diary back then, what were the goals? Do you remember what was going on in the springtime of 2023 that you were working with goals? And now, 2 years later, we're here to reflect a bit upon that and to take it a little bit further. So where 2 years ago, we were busy with, of course, the nodes were in Aries and Libra back then as well. The journey was all about you and prioritizing yourself. It was about putting yourself first and really understanding the value of who you are and the power of that. And now, 2 years later, we're in the stronger Libra side, which means that we move from this strong knowing of self into this desire from this lunation on to cooperate, to do it together, to create a team of maybe you and someone else or more. And so it goes beyond the self, and now it's looking outwards to connection, to sharing, to relate. So we're ready to make alliances and further our connection, and definitely things like negotiation, compromise, and cooperation come to mind. And definitely dialogue. We're conversing a lot, we're having conversations, and it's also a moment of where do you want to influence, attract, and captivate more of into your life. of course, ruled by Venus. This is very much about relationships, either intimate or with clients, with business, and it's about an equilibrium where there's more fairness in the togetherness. And that comes from that strong self that we started so passionately and fiercely 2 years ago. And so this moment of wanting to relate now should be much more healthy. Another little date, you could go back to all the way in 2014, also April, and that was when we had a total lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Libra, and this is of course at 28, so it's pretty close. And that must have been something about wrapping up or something being eclipsed in or out of your life. Maybe there's something about 2014 that you're working with, that you're processing, that you want to move beyond of. And now in this new moon, there's a beautiful opportunity to set intentions, to set new goals, wishes, and to invite a different Libra energy into your life. You know, healthier relationships, balanced connections. Putting yourself first in a relationship creates a more healthier, stable equilibrium, fair connection. And also, of course, the value of finding the middle path, okay? And that goes very deep, which is, I suppose, the next subject. And that's the yod, the finger of God that's pointing to the moon and sun at 28 degrees of Libra, coming from Uranus, who's at 0 degrees of Gemini, and Neptune, who's at the last teeny bit degree of Aries. I mean, technically it's the beginning of Aries, but it's going retrograde. So it means that the next day after this new moon, Neptune goes back, regresses back into Pisces, where it's been for many years, and it has affected everything. It has basically caused the decline of the reality that we had known. You know, very top down, very, political systems being in rule, and, how, things just went in economy, and none of that is working anymore. Like, our reality has completely shifted. And of course, the corona era is a huge reason, or should we say symptom, of the breaking down of reality. That's a huge part of the Neptunian story in Pisces. It's ending all that we have known, and it's going back into that territory. It means that we're not done with massive endings and completions. It's like the beginning of the end with capital letters. It's the big saga. And it's gonna be an interesting ride now that, well, after this lunation, both Neptune and Saturn will be back at the end of Pisces. Neptune will stay at the 29 degrees of Pisces all throughout its retrograde. And that's going to be intense. That's the last degree of the zodiac, and it's the end of the end. And as Neptune has been swiping out everything that doesn't belong, that doesn't serve anymore, that is not for our spiritual growth anymore, yeah, it's all crumbling. That comes obviously with grief and sadness and just overwhelm of, the things we have to say goodbye to, and then the loss, and then the not knowing until the new starts, and that will not occur before February of 2026. So the coming months should be really interesting, and of course, it's fascinating how the cosmos works and the timing of it all, that it's a new moon, that is the beginning of a 6 months period at least. And that's the moment that Neptune decides to go back into Pisces, which is really relevant, a relevant storyline for this year. So yeah, prepare for massive shifts and massive endings, and especially if you have anything at the end of Pisces. So yeah, it's of course interesting that approximately at the same time Mercury is slowing down, is in its pre-shadow period, getting ready for that retrograde in November. So it's this energy of going back, and it's the energy of going back into emotions and into intuition and into the unseen. I'm thinking the veil is thin. We're in between worlds, and 28 degrees of Libra is really close to Scorpio. So it's a bit wedged, moving into the Scorpion energy almost. So, and Scorpio is one of the most deepest signs in the zodiac, right? Where we are deeply in the unseen reality and moving deep into the psyche, into the magical mysticism of life, into the occult, into just that there is so much more to know and learn and discover. So we're already also feeling that vibe as well. And I think the whole retrograding of everything is just an intense couple of months that we're embarking upon, okay? But then Neptune is of course conjunct almost to Saturn, who's 26 degrees of Pisces, and so it's sextiling that Uranus, right? So when this sextile started a couple years ago, I got this intuition, the song actually of A Whole New World. And yeah, so we're massively shifting into a new energetic frequency. And in Libra terms, Libra words, it's about new harmonics. It's about a new frequency language. We're going to notice more symmetry, more harmony, more geometry. All these things are the language of the divine. And while, that's the level that Neptune and Uranus are working at, that's higher consciousness, it's soul evolution. And I've said many times, but we've moved on way beyond just Earth reality, and we're opening up into what we are more of. And it's such a distortion to what we have known that reality to be, the physical, the tangible, and that's only a very small part of real reality, and that it just creates a cognitive dissonance. Like, what is unreal, and how are we going to move forward, and what does it mean? What's the impact of being a soul and not just this lifetime? What does it mean to live a divine life? To live a life in beauty, harmony, presence. Yeah, we're looking for that. And those are very much Libra words as well. So there's a new harmony at play, asking us to connect deeply, to connect with loved ones, to partner up. And this is not a road to do alone. This is not a journey by yourself. So this is something you need to work with intentionally, to connect, to become a team, to become a group, to become lovers, to pair up, in the background, we have a massive water grand trine. And it's interesting that in this lunation, Mars and Mercury, the brothers, are conjunct at 20 degrees of Scorpio. This is really, really intense. And I've had a lot of scorpionic experiences. That's why I was a bit off the radar this last couple of times, because I was hacked, okay? My account on a social media platform was hacked and I could not enter, it was actually my Instagram profile. And yeah, so there was a whole process of how I was kicked off because of a hacker. And then I managed to hack the hacker. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I got into my account and then I was thrown out again. And I'm really, really disappointed in that social media platform, because it makes this criminal activity of hacking so easy for them and has no protection for its users, its members. And I lost everything. I lost my pictures, I lost my history, you know, and of course I lost a lot of, followers, friends, and so it was really sad to experience that, and really disillusioned, and a little, a little tough pill to swallow. Just weird that you lose your content, and it's not nice. Um, it's like somebody breaks into your house, and takes all your stuff away. It's the same. It's the same. But anyway, so yeah, that was my huge Scorpio experience. And yeah, that's the kind of thing you could also experience, because Mercury, the messenger, the media, the communication place, the mind, the thoughts, the intellect, and that's working in Scorpio. It's working deep, it's working in the dark, it's working with criminal activities, and Mars being there together, they kind of, pump each other up, and so there could be a lot of criminal activity going on, actually. There could be a lot of stuff going on in the dark. You might be thrown into your dark aspects, your shadows, needing to look into, thoughts and beliefs in your psyche. Maybe you're looking at deep patterns, why you are the way you are, or how things have gone, especially probably in family, because it's a water trine, so it's also trining Jupiter at 24 degrees of the crab, home, family, lineage, roots, DNA, generational trauma, perhaps. So it's looking at family patterns, it's looking at, family constellation, and digging really deep with your emotions and with your past. And it's also trining, of course, specifically Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And that's trying to bring solidity and seriousness to the matter. And, Saturn in itself, but particularly in Pisces, is about losses. So, like me, you could lose an account, or worse. Of course, there are worse things in life, unfortunately. And yeah, so it's a serious matter. It's very deep, it's very emotional. We're all experiencing this. If you have anything in the water signs, between 20 and 26 degrees of the water signs, Crab, Scorpio, and Pisces, this is very strong for you and personal. So you're going through a pretty emotional time. Even though it's a grand trine, there's a lot of flow, there's a lot of ease. So, the waves are moving a lot and coming and going, ebb and flowing. There are several ways that you could experience it, either overwhelm, because there's a lot coming and going. You know, a lot of tides, a lot of quick waves, or it's just washing things away way too easily, instantly. It's gone. And then you have to process it. So it's an emotional time. This lunation tells us all that it's an emotional time for the coming months. And like I said, that's also due to that huge ending chapter of Saturn and Neptune ending its journey together in Pisces at the end of the end. And then we're starting ultimately a 165-year new cycle, because Neptune and Saturn are moving together at the beginning of Aries next year. So there's a huge wrapping up, right? And at the same time, even though there's a lot of, I suppose, emotional maturity, intelligence, a lot of intuition going on that you should definitely tap into. The truth is within your feelings. It's in the gut. You know it. You feel it. You need to trust that. You need to surrender to whatever is going on, to whatever end is presenting to you. There's no need to, or no value in fighting against it. You know, resistance is futile and really, really painful, probably, if you do that. But yeah, we're feeling a lot, and we just need to trust and let it flow through us and out of us. Trying not to attach to anything, anyone, any emotion. It's easy to say, but you know, we have been mastering that for quite some time because of Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces. So it's also like that chapter in the school book is closing. Like, we've learned it. This is the last exam, and you already know. You already know, and you just need to trust that. But the Sun and Moon are also squaring Pluto in Aquarius. It's out of sign technically, but it's too close in degree to not mention. So it's definitely a square. And that means difficulty. And that means the difficulty of the coming few months, right? These are power struggles. This is injustice. This is unfairness, inequality. This is revolutionary, revolting energy. People demanding their rights. It could be diplomatic issues, a clash in intelligence, in conversations, in words. It could be a clash of knowledge that things aren't adding up. But we can definitely expect revolts and, like, yeah, people going to the streets or to the courts demanding that something isn't working right. Could be a lot of power dynamics, power struggles. And this is definitely an intensity. So, yeah. It's important to keep our head cool and to not make it explosive. Like, solutions will be found. So don't stress personally. And collectively, you gotta take things with a grain of salt, because there is a lot we're moving through. Okay, this is no joke. But I think because maybe Libra is so much about beauty and love, I feel that this is a nice Libra energy that we want. Because, like I said, we need connection, and we need to feel that we're together in this, and we are. We are. That's the reality. And so, yeah, the cliche probably that love is going to heal everything, but definitely And that's what we need to seek. That's what we need to be. That's what we need to attract. That's what we need to, captivate and receive. And all the rest is just baloney. But we're going to see a lot of baloney. We're going to see a lot of issues being raised in the collective because a lot is ending, right? A lot is being removed. There's also kind of an opposition of this lunation to Chiron, who's in Aries at 24 degrees. And Chiron is having a pretty tight square to Jupiter in the crab. So technically this is a T-square pointing to Jupiter. So that's a lot of tension. And this is a lot of wounds being triggered, insecurities about a little bit who we are, our identity. This is that problem of putting yourself first, that you've been dealing with the last 2 years, learning because of, the eclipse, solar eclipse in 2023. So this is a little bit where the issue rises of you have to know who you are, and you have to not get triggered by everything. Stand strongly in yourself, in your self-knowledge, in your self-esteem, and honor your body always. Listen to your body always. The me-we aspect in this triggering aspect is pointing to a lot of love again in Jupiter in the crab. A lot of love, a lot of home feeling of belonging, feeling of connection, feeling of nurturing, of being taken care of, of feeling full, of creating a life that feels like home. That's what we're all obligated to do, and we need to find the ingredients of what that is. How is your life gonna feel like home? And what is holding you back from that feeling that you can tap into right now already? But it comes from a strong knowledge of self and honoring that. And we do that every little step of the way. You fall off, you dishonor yourself, you disrespect yourself. The next moment you step back on it, and you exercise, express, convey that you matter, you're important. And healthy relationships, like I said, come from that. And this is, again, one of those aspects or geometry that shows us again, find your family, find your home, find your belonging. First, you have to feel like you belong with yourself, like you are one with your body, with your life. And somehow that Jupiter in the crab, which is exalted, it's very at home, Jupiter's very at home here, is really, really relevant, and is reminding us that this is where we need to focus our attention on. This is really, really important. This is like the key to keep us going amidst a lot of emotion, amidst a lot of endings, that we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Just don't lose your ability to love, to stay in love. And that's my cat, reminding you that you need to rest as well. Have a good sleep. And this new moon in Libra is actually at a crab degree, which is interesting with this T-square to the crab energy of Jupiter. So we're here to connect. We're here to relate, find relations, find family, find our soul tribe, probably. So that's also occurring amidst probably some sadness and loss and removal. But just trust your heart, trust the love, and you're gonna be okay. So this lunation is conjunct a fixed star called Izar at 29 degrees of Libra. It's called the most beautiful star because of its color variety. And beautiful is, of course, a very Libra word. It's about aesthetics, it's about harmony, it's about geometry, it's about the golden ratio, it's about the divine language, which is beauty. And Izar, the fixed star, is about artistic expressions and passions. It's about rural pursuits in nature. It's about the liking for occultism, as well as being very significant about leaders like our Tsars. We don't have Tsars anymore. Like the Shahs of Iran, we don't have those anymore. But so it's about leaders, and it's about artistic expression. It's about the magical, mystical side of life. It's about peace and tranquility and that rural vibes. I think it's very interesting what this fixed star represents, Izar, and how that actually is such a explanatory for this chart, for the geometry. So I wanted to give you that as well. Have a lovely new moon in Libra, because that's the promise of this one. And just love and take care of everyone around you and honor yourself. Take care. Bye.